So here's something I put together. I call it a distance feeler. So this is a ultrasonic range detector, and that outputs a signal to the microcontroller, and I program the microcontroller to take that signal and convert it to a pulse width modulation signal, which controls this transistor, which in turn controls this vibration motor. So the closer an object is to the sensor, the more the motor will vibrate, and the farther an object is, the less it will vibrate. So let me demonstrate that. So that might seem kind of silly, but if you take this module and take the vibration motor and let's say attach it to your wrist like so, and then attach the power, and you can feel distance. It's actually quite awesome. And if someone was visually impaired, you could use this to walk around without bumping into anything. Alright, so this is pretty much all that's involved. It's quite simple. So here's your ping module. It inputs a pulse depending on the distance. If it's a far distance, it's a larger pulse, and if it's a small distance, it's a smaller pulse. Anyway, so your microcontroller takes that signal and pretty much just inverts that signal. So if it's a long pulse, it's a short pulse. If it's a short pulse, it's a long pulse. And the way that works is, if it's a short pulse, pulse width modulation, it's on, say, let's say 10% of the time, the RPM of the motor will be rotating at 1/10 of its normal rotation speed. And if you take that up to 90%, it will be rotating at 90% of its typical rotation speed. So hopefully that made sense. And my programming is not very good, but I'll show you an example of what I did in order to achieve this. Okay, so here's the code I used, and if you want to see the variables and whatnot, they're right up there. So those are the variables, and then here's the code. So I'll show you the pulse in and pulse out on the microcontroller itself using my oscilloscope for you electronics guys out there. So I'll go ahead and do that. Okay, so what is displayed on the screen here is the signal pin of the ping module. So if I put my hand in front of the sensor, you can see that duration there drops off to a very low amount. And as I move my hand farther away, it gets longer. And if we take a look at the other signal, so the signal which would control the motor's speed, and here's the motor's signal. So if I put my hand in front of the sensor, the pulse actually is longer than it is when my hand is farther away. So that's so the motor is vibrating faster the closer the object is to the sensor. So there you go. Thanks for watching.